Qin Lingyu kneels in front of Chen Bai, calls him master, and thanks him for the reward, while Chen Bai praises her technique and admits that he is very satisfied. He then stands before the huge glass window and instructs Qin Lingyu to come over, and she readily agrees. Chen Bai begins explaining that he wants to go over a few requirements for establishing their rules there, but he is suddenly startled when he sees Qin Lingyu bending over in front of him while making a request. Confused by both her request and posture, he questions what she wants, and whether she even heard what he just explained. Qin Lingyu apologizes and admits that she missed everything, most likely because of her B-level skill, focus. Whenever she concentrates on thinking, feeling, or doing something, the skill increases her thinking speed and the sensitivity of her senses, but it also blocks out all other information from the outside world. Chen Bai explains that he called Qin Lingyu over because the window gives her a view of all three areas of Dongshan, including the villas, the high-end residential areas on the hillside, and the lower mountain neighborhoods. He needs her to establish different rules for each area. Qin Lingyu confirms that she can handle it and wonders whether Chen Bai has any other requests. Chen Bai replies that his next request is simple, since he is curious about her ability and wants to see just how far her senses can be stimulated when she focuses completely on her feelings. Qin Lingyu blushes intensely and stutters in agreement. She immediately activates focus, bends over in front of Chen Bai, and announces that she is ready, after which pleasurable moans fill the area. The next morning, Chen Bai arrives at the Dongshan sewerage outlet with Song Zikyong, Alan, and a group of people. He explains that he discovered this place yesterday by using the architectural drawings and following traces left by mutant rats. And somewhere inside is the lair of those mutated creatures. Although Chen Bai could clear the place alone, his real goal is to quickly train strong people who are trustworthy, reliable, and capable of protecting everyone whenever he is absent. That is why he selected this group and brought them here to level up, intending for them to become the backbone of their villa. He checks whether everyone is ready, and the entire group, including Song Zikyong and Alan, kneels before him, calls him master, and confirms that they are prepared. Chen Bai immediately has them stand, finding it strange for a group of men to keep calling him master, so from now on, they only need to call him Brother Bai. Everyone becomes excited by the change and enthusiastically addresses him as Brother Bai. Chen Bai then steps into the water and approaches the fence blocking the outlet. With almost no effort, he tears it away and announces that they can begin. At that moment, a system notification appears, informing Chen Bai that they have triggered the special mission Sewer Hosts. After seeing it, he checks whether the others received the same mission, and Song Zikyong confirms that she did. Alan explains that the mission requires them to eliminate every mutant rat along with the Rat King, then investigate the source behind the rat's mutation, with the rewards depending on their overall completion. One of the men also confirms that they received the exact same mission. A short while later, the group enters the sewer. Song Zikyong remarks on how dark it is and is glad that she already had them prepare torches, while Chen Bai notices that the sewer is cleaner than he expected. Suddenly, rustling echoes from ahead. Chen Bai signals the others to stay alert because the mutated rats are approaching, and moments later, multiple ferocious creatures rush toward them at incredible speed. Chen Bai immediately activates Heavy Hammer and Bone Claws, noting that there are a lot of enemies, while everyone else charges forward with him. As they cut down the mutated rats blocking their path, Chen Bai warns everyone to watch for any that are still alive. A little later, while Alan finishes off the remaining mutated rats, one of the men announces that he picked up rat skin equipment. Meanwhile, Song Zikyong reports to Chen Bai that this section of the pipe is almost completely cleared and that they have already cleaned 16 long and short sections of pipeline, which Chen Bai confirms. Suddenly, the man behind Song Zikyong points forward and alerts them that something is happening again, although this time there is only one enemy. Hearing that there is just one, Song Zikyong declares that she will handle it herself. As she faces the mutant rat ahead, Chen Bai reminds her not to forget her scouting skill first. And Song Zikyong confirms that she remembers before activating Insight Crystal. The result immediately astonishes her. The creature is a level 7 boss, and although Song Zikyong cannot see all of its specific attributes, she identifies its strength as 30 and its agility as 40 before trailing off while trying to mention its physique. Before she can finish, Chen Bai has already activated Bone Claws and charged straight toward the boss, startling Song Zikyong as she warns him to be careful. However, her surprise quickly turns to relief when Chen Bai mauls the boss and defeats it with a single attack. The system notification follows immediately. A grade E defensive set item called Plague Boots drops, increasing agility by 5 and granting poison protection that reduces the effects of poisonous debuffs. It is also one piece out of the 5-piece Plague set, which increases all attributes by 1, while requiring an evolver level greater than or equal to 5. Seeing the equipment, Chen Bai remarks that the Rat King can actually drop pieces of a full equipment set before equipping the boots himself. Once they are on, he notes that even though the set is lower grade, collecting every piece would make it several times stronger than normal equipment of the same grade. With the Plague Rat King dead, Chen Bai concludes that only one objective remains: investigating the cause of the mutation. A while later, Song Zikyong points out that they have already passed through 5 pipes and wonders why there are no more rats. Before she can continue, Chen Bai abruptly orders everyone to stop. System notifications begin appearing one after another. Chen Bai gains 10 virus points for absorbing the Spore Plague for the first time, 23 virus points for absorbing the Bone Spur Plague for the first time, 15 virus points for absorbing Rotting Plague for the first time, 14 virus points for absorbing Mutant Dark Green Spore Plague for the first time, and 20 virus points for absorbing Black Death Plague for the first time. Chen Bai considers how absorbing viruses and ordinary germs inside a sewer would normally be expected, but the viruses entering his body now are completely different. None of them existed on Earth before the trials, and both their variety and quantity are enough to harm even evolvers. From that, he suspects that the source of the mutation cannot be far ahead. Chen Bai immediately warns that Song Zikyong cannot continue any farther and orders everyone to head back, which she accepts. He continues forward alone, only to be bombarded by even more system notifications. Chen Bai finds the situation interesting because every step causes his virus points to increase even faster, making him wonder just how quickly they will rise once he reaches the actual source. A short while later, Chen Bai approaches a turn in the pipes and concludes that the source should be right ahead. There, he discovers a mysterious corpse holding a scroll while poison pours from it. For Chen Bai, the entire place is practically heaven. He approaches the corpse tied in place, but the sight leaves him surprised, as he wonders whether this corpse is truly the source behind both the mutations and the plague virus. Chen Bai examines the corpse and explains that, judging by the concentration of the plague virus, the source should be the scroll still held in its hand. He pulls it free and opens it, only to find no properties or instructions attached. After reading that it comes from the plague cult, Chen Bai remarks that he has never heard of them in his previous life. Still, none of that matters for now, because after absorbing every virus contained inside, he should be able to make a major breakthrough in strength. So he immediately activates virus absorption on the scroll. The result catches him completely off guard as his hand suddenly mutates, making him curse while 2 different types of energy swirl around him. Once his hand finally returns to normal, the corpse collapses, and the system announces that the special mission sewer host has been completed. Chen Bai receives 2,000 experience points along with a randomly drawn reward, and the system congratulates him for obtaining the item Wall of Flesh. At the same time, a symbol suddenly forms in his palm. The system identifies it as the Seal of Plague, proof of a core member of the plague cult, condensed from countless horrific plagues. It will also react and change whenever another Seal of Plague enters a certain radius. Because Chen Bai avoids being corrupted by the plague while still obtaining the Seal of Plague, the system confirms that he has met the conditions for a subsequent mission. The mission Plague Cult is immediately issued, carrying an SSS difficulty rating. Seeing an SSS level mission naturally surprises Chen Bai. The mission description explains that the Plague Cult sacrificed the old gods and brought countless treasures into that world in preparation for the true god described in their prophecy. Since he now possesses the Seal of Plague, he qualifies to become that prophesied true god. But first, he must locate the members known as Plague Bringers from the Plague Sect and undergo their test. After reading the description, Chen Bai notes that this mission is directly connected to a god's authority. If he can become the god of plague, he will finally be qualified to confront Heloise head-on, so he is determined to find the Plague Bringer. Just then, a portal suddenly appears in front of him, and Chen Bai recognizes that a dungeon is being generated. He reaches toward the portal to inspect it, prompting another system notification. The Hell Difficulty Dungeon Plague Sewer is currently being generated, with 29 days, 23 hours, 58 minutes, and 59 seconds remaining. Seeing that it is Hell Difficulty, Chen Bai notes that it is even harder than the Cold Incinerator's Nightmare level. Since the dungeon needs an entire month just to finish generating, its level is clearly high, so he decides to return in a month and inspect it properly. Elsewhere, another portal appears near Song Ziqiang. She discovers that a dungeon has been generated in the Dongshan sewer area, carrying normal difficulty, recommended levels from 1 to 10, and a limit of 3 entries each day. Before long, Chen Bai suddenly appears, and Song Ziqiang remarks that levels 1 through 10 are perfect for her current leveling needs. After acknowledging his return, she explains that she has already sent someone to gather everyone in groups so they can level inside the dungeon. With only 3 entries available per day, there is no reason to waste any opportunities, and Chen Bai approves of her decision. 20 minutes later, everyone gathers in front of the dungeon entrance. Chen Bai explains that the sewer dungeon does not have much space, so groups of 4 to 8 are ideal. More importantly, everyone needs to remember that survival comes first and profit comes second, which the group confirms they understand. Turning to the 3 ladies, Chen Bai explains that they will enter alongside him, but once inside, they are responsible for themselves because he will only step in when necessary. Song Ziqiang, Su Xin, and Alan all agree. Chen Bai then instructs them to form a team and join the chat group. The system notifies Song Ziqiang that Evolver number 001, Bai, has invited her to join the chat group White Emperor Palace. Seeing number 001 leaves her surprised, but Chen Bai explains that the numbering only represents the order in which someone becomes evolved, so there is nothing worth making a fuss over. At that moment, Song Ge confronts Chen Bai over why she never receives an invitation. Chen Bai bluntly explains that the reason is simple. He never invited her. He then makes it clear that the group is his harem, meaning only loyal and capable people are allowed inside, while a little girl who once became terrified of a zombie does not qualify. Remembering what happened before leaves Song Ge embarrassed, but she insists that Chen Bai should not underestimate people because she is already grown up. Chen Bai responds by displaying several items in front of her and instructing her to choose her equipment, enter the dungeon, and prove just how much she has grown. A few moments later, Songji enters the dungeon and sneaks behind several mutated rats. When Alan and Song Ziqiang move to help, she stops them and insists that there is no need because she will handle it herself. Meanwhile, Chen Bai turns to Lu Li and remarks that he still does not know what talents she and Song Ge possess. Lu Li explains that her talent is the B-level illusion, which allows her to create disembodied phantoms based on her imagination, although its role in direct combat is fairly limited. As Song Ge rushes toward the mutated rats, Lu Li continues with Song Ge's ability. Her talent is the C-ranked Natural Aptitude, which increases the growth of experience and proficiency by 50%. Chen Bai notes that a growth accelerator offers even less direct combat value than Lu Li's phantoms, and Lu Li agrees. Song Ge quickly defeats the mutated rats and proudly points out that she killed 3 of them by herself, even though the rats are much stronger than ordinary zombies. She then wants Chen Bai's judgment on her performance. Chen Bai admits that it was not bad, and since Song Ge is trying so hard to enter his harem, he can make an exception for her. Blushing, Song Ge pretends not to care and insists that she has no interest in joining Chen Bai's harem. She only wants to prove herself. Chen Bai immediately accepts that answer and remarks that he respects her decision, so there is no reason to send her an invitation. That instantly makes Song Ge panic, and she hurriedly stops him. When Chen Bai wants to know what she needs, Song Ge bashfully admits that it is nothing serious. She simply wants to join after all and wonders whether she can. Chen Bai points out that she still seems reluctant, so he might as well forget the invitation entirely. Song Ge is left completely speechless. At that point, Song Ziqiang steps in and requests that Chen Bai stop teasing Song Ge because she clearly wants to join. In fact, Song Ge was already angry that morning because Song Ziqiang introduced him to Qin Lingyu instead of introducing him to her. Chen Bai finally relents and, for her mother's sake, instructs Song Ge to accept the invitation. The system then confirms that Evolver number 102611521, Song Ge, has accepted the invitation to join White Emperor Palace, leaving her visibly excited. Song-gae happily walks away while announcing that she is going to kill more monsters. Watching her leave, Chen Bai calls her a tsundere little princess, while Song Zikyong explains that Song-gae is simply a tough talker. She then assures Chen Bai that there is no need to worry and adds that once the dungeon is finished and they return to the villa, she has already promised to make Song-gae call Chen Bai daddy. Chen Bai remarks that she is certainly decisive. Song Zikyong agrees without hesitation because the world has already changed. For a young lady like Song-gae who has never experienced hardship before, having a daddy like Chen Bai would mean a great deal to her. Somewhere inside a luxury hotel suite, a lady relaxes in the bathtub and remarks on how comfortable everything is. Grateful that the group leader's advice allows her to live this well, even at the end of time. Suddenly, the system announces that Evolver Bai's team has achieved the first clear of the normal level Dongshan sewer dungeon and released a recording of the run, with access priced at 10 copper coins. Her eyes widen when Chen Bai appears in the video. Recognizing him as their group leader, she marvels that he has already cleared another dungeon. She immediately prepares to watch, excited because she has never seen a dungeon before, though spending 10 copper coins makes her complain that she is going to go bankrupt. Once the video begins, however, everyone's faces are hidden, and she quickly becomes curious about why there are so many women in the team. Elsewhere, a man watches the same recording and judges that the girls have good talent, but their combat ability still needs work. Since what he really wants to see is Chen Bai fighting, he skips ahead. Another man also watches the footage, noticing that the monsters deeper inside are much higher level. Even with Chen Bai's guidance, the girls cannot defeat them, meaning he should finally be forced to act. When the boss appears, the man immediately notes that it looks extremely strong. Meanwhile, a group of foreign men are watching as well. One of them wants to know how powerful that Eastern bastard really is, while another dismisses the concern, reasoning that they have simply been unlucky because they have not found any dungeons yet. In his view, there is no chance Chen Bai can surpass their S rank. Tom disagrees. After watching Chen Bai kill the boss in a single strike, he admits that Chen Bai is far stronger than him. Back at the hotel, the lady remains completely absorbed in the video. Since the enemy is a level 10 boss, she is even more impressed by how powerful their group leader is, and the combat methods he teaches the girls also prove extremely useful. Later, while lying on her bed, she wishes she could be in Chen Bai's city as well, openly envying the girls who get to receive his personal guidance. Meanwhile, inside the study of Song Zikyong's villa, Chen Bai explains that after everyone finishes going through the sewers dungeon, they should have accumulated plenty of low-grade equipment. Because of that, Song Zikyong, Qin Lingyu, and Lu Li need to work together and establish rules for the base's economy and equipment trading as soon as possible. Song Zikyong agrees and wonders whether he has any other instructions. Chen Bai then reveals a collection of items and explains that he still has something prepared for her. She should already understand how important these things are, and once she takes a closer look, her surprise immediately grows. First, Song Zikyong examines the walls of flesh and blood, a wall material capable of growing by devouring flesh and blood. It is stronger than any wall they could construct themselves, making it an extremely powerful defensive barrier when used properly. She then picks up a scroll that allows someone to return to a marked city after 10 seconds, with its effectiveness depending on the material used to create it. Since an item like this can save someone's life, she believes they can use these resources to become the sole ruler of Zhangchang within a short period. However, her reaction changes when she examines the faceless skin. The item can improve the body's appearance and transform it into any appearance, yet she looks noticeably disappointed. Seeing that reaction, Chen Bai wonders whether she considers it less important than the first two items. Song Zikyong immediately denies that possibility, explaining that since Chen Bai is the true owner of everything, any equipment capable of pleasing him is naturally the most important of all. Chen Bai admits that he does not know much about women's clothing, so he wonders whether she can give him a surprise. Song Zikyong assures him there is indeed a surprise, though it will not come from her alone. She has already promised to make Song-gae officially call Chen Bai daddy, and since she plans to dress her up immediately, she requests that he wait. A short while later, every light inside Song Zikyong's villa is turned off except for one room. Chen Bai is carrying the sleeping Qin Lingyu, who is dressed in a revealing leopard costume, into the villa bedroom. On the enormous bed, Su Xin, Song Zikyong, Alin, and Lu Li are already asleep, and he places Qin Lingyu beside them before taking a good look at everyone resting there. Later, Chen Bai equips the plague robe, and the system announces that he now has 2 out of 5 pieces of the plague set equipped. As a result, all of his attributes increase by 5, while he also gains resistance against weakness debuffs. Looking over the day's results, he notes that 3 runs through the sewer dungeon only produced 1 piece of the plague set. Still, if he can maintain a rate of 1 set piece every 3 attempts, he should be able to complete the entire set within 3 days. At that moment, another system notification appears. Chat Group 001 member Dreamy has initiated a private conversation with him. Chen Bai is puzzled by both the message and the name Dreamy. Dreamy politely greets him and explains that she watched his strategy video. Since he provides guidance based on each person's talents and abilities, she wants his help as well because she is not good at combat. After reading the message, Chen Bai recognizes that someone has come looking for personal guidance. He responds that proper guidance requires a certain understanding of her talent, so if she trusts him, she should send him the details and let him examine them first. Dreamy is startled when he adds that if she is unwilling to reveal her talent information, she can send her attribute details instead, although that would severely limit how much help he can provide. She immediately agrees. If talent information is what he needs, she will provide it without hesitation. Meanwhile, Chen Bai recalls that he never heard of anyone named Dreamy in his previous life. However, every member of this group is at least a pioneer, so she should still possess considerable potential. Then his eyes widen. Her talent is Dream Butterfly, and she currently possesses 31 dream points. Chen Bai instantly recognizes it as an SSS-level infinite growth talent. There is no way an ability this powerful should remain unknown, which means she most likely died in his previous life. Dreamy is surprised when his next reply explains that SSS-level talents are extremely complicated, so he needs to know the exact effects of both her talent and skills. She agrees and explains that Dream Butterfly allows her to enter the dream world, a place identical to the real world. She can also enter other people's dream worlds and even bring certain things out from inside them. Her dream-weaving ability allows her to adjust anything inside the dream world, although the amount she can currently modify is extremely limited. As for dreaming together with someone else, she must first create a dream totem and use it to invite them into her dream world. Chen Bai is taken aback after reading the explanation. As long as nobody discovers the location of the true body, the ability is practically invincible. Dreamy continues typing rapidly and proposes sending him a dream totem in image form, allowing him to enter her dream world and guide her personally. Chen Bai immediately refuses because he would have no protection inside her dream world. Dreamy urges him not to reject the idea yet. She is willing to sign an Evolver's contract, guaranteeing that she will not do anything harmful to him. The mention of an Evolver's contract leaves Chen Bai astonished. He points out that an Evolver contract recognized by the will of the universe costs at least 10 gold coins. If she already possesses that much money, he cannot understand why she would need to seek combat guidance from him. Dreamy explains that monsters she kills inside the dream world also die in reality. Through dream weaving, she can adjust the drop rate of monsters within the dream world, which is why she has accumulated just enough gold coins. She can also offer him additional rewards, including the D-level skill book Spiritual Perception and the Grade F special item City Building Order. Chen Bai immediately recognizes just how powerful this ability is. In his assessment, it is no worse than his Virus King. Dreamy bites her lip and desperately explains that while she is powerful inside dreams, she is extremely weak in reality. She has a strong feeling that unless she improves her combat ability, she will die sooner or later. Chen Bai judges that her instincts are correct. Her ability provides no physical enhancement whatsoever, creating an enormous weakness. He finally agrees and instructs her to send over the Evolver contract. Since she is willing to sign it, he is prepared to help, while also deciding that a talent this powerful must be recruited for his use. The system soon announces that Evolver Dreamy has sent him a copy of the Evolver contract. According to its terms, Dreamy promises not to engage in any dialogue or action that causes harm or any negative effect to Chen Bai. Anyone who violates the agreement will lose their identity as an Evolver, and the contract remains active for 24 hours. Chen Bai accepts. A short while later, he lies on a bed inside the second bedroom of Song Zikyong's villa and considers the requirements of the dream totem. He needs to relax and maintain focus for 3 minutes, while the process takes even longer if the target remains guarded. Soon afterward, Chen Bai receives the image of the dream totem sent by Dreamy. Looking at the ability, he considers how terrifying it would become if it eventually evolves to the point where they can see and dream. He then closes his eyes. A short while later, Chen Bai is transported into a room where Dreamy is already standing in front of him. Dreamy greets him as group leader Brother Bai and introduces herself as Meng Meng, meaning Dreamy, while confirming that she is the one who has just signed the contract with him. Chen Bai introduces himself, letting Meng Meng know she can simply call him Bai, before wondering whether this is the world from her dreams, though he quickly points out that the place is not suitable for combat training. Meng Meng explains that this is not the right place, then opens a portal and reveals that she has already cleaned up a gym not far from there. Chen Bai is astonished, especially when he sees the scale of what exists inside the dream. The entire city is being replicated within it. Taking a peek through the portal, Chen Bai wonders whether the place ahead is the gym, and remarks that her dream world seems incredibly large. However, Meng Meng corrects him, explaining that the dream world exists independently and does not belong to her. As a dream traveler, she can only enter and modify it, and based on her explorations over the past few days, the dream world appears to reflect the real world. Chen Bai understands enough to move on, deciding they should head straight to the gym and begin training. Meng Meng agrees and leads him through the portal. A few moments later, they arrive at a basketball court inside the dream world gym, though the entire place is dark. Meng Meng snaps her fingers and dramatically calls for light, causing the gym lights to turn on at once. Chen Bai remarks that she looks like a middle school girl doing that, while Meng Meng giggles and explains that she used to be a novelist before the apocalypse. With that aside, Chen Bai gets straight to the purpose of the training. Since Meng Meng wants to strengthen her abilities in the real world, the best method is actual combat, so she should avoid using dream world abilities against him and simply show him her current fighting level. Meng Meng warns that while inside the dream world, her attributes are raised to match her mental strength, which currently stands at 48, so he should be careful. Chen Bai brushes off the concern and instructs her to attack with everything she has. Meng Meng agrees before charging forward with a yell and throwing a punch. However, Chen Bai dodges with ease, and when Meng Meng loses her balance, he immediately points out the problem. Her weight distribution is unstable, meaning she cannot properly attack and retreat, so she needs to try again. Embarrassed, Meng Meng launches another attack, this time throwing punches with her eyes closed. Chen Bai compares the wild swings to the turtle punch from children's martial arts, and once again, she loses her balance when he avoids her attack. He explains that the first thing she needs to master is balance, because a punch that cannot be recovered after being thrown is the weakest kind of punch. Chen Bai then sighs when Meng Meng starts punching away from him and moves on to the second problem. She needs to identify her target instead of attacking randomly and openly revealing where she intends to strike. In the next instant, he quickly moves in front of her and explains the third point. She needs to watch her opponent instead of becoming completely absorbed in her own attacks. With that, Chen Bai has already seen enough to judge her current level. For now, Meng Meng only needs to remember those 3 points. He then explains that the speed of his earlier punches was only around 20, yet Meng Meng still could not handle them. Hearing that, Meng Meng apologizes and admits that she is terrible at this. Chen Bai reassures her that apologizing is unnecessary and that she simply needs to work hard during training. Meng Meng agrees and promises to do exactly that. 7 days later, evening has already settled over the Dongshan Villa area, with only one room inside Song Zikyong's villa still lit. Inside, Song Zikyong meets with Chen Bai and reports that all of the laws have been posted, with people stationed in front of every billboard to explain them. Chen Bai approves, noting that the Dongshan area is finally getting onto the right track. However, he soon remembers another matter. Over the past few days, he has been focused on cleaning up the Dongshan area, but from this point onward, its management will be left to Song Zikyong because he plans to leave early the next morning. Song Zikyong is surprised that he is leaving so soon, having expected him to stay longer since his plague set is still missing one piece. After considering the plague set's attributes and effects, Chen Bai explains that he does not have time to wait around for an E-grade set. There are too many opportunities and precious treasures outside, and he needs to go out and seize some of them. Song Zikyong then hugs him from behind and reminds him to think about them as well and make sure he comes back. Otherwise, if Emperor Bai's palace ends up flooded, no one will be able to control it. Amused by the remark, Chen Bai wonders how his own land could possibly be flooded before instructing Song Zikyong to gather all of them, because they are going to have a proper discussion that day about how to close the water outlet. Song Zikyong readily agrees to obey her lord's order. Later that night, the ladies on Chen Bai's team are all in bed, overwhelmed with pleasure as Chen Bai uses his vine-like aura on them. Chen Bai watches them with visible satisfaction before leaning back contentedly as the scene fills with butterflies and roses. By the next morning, Chen Bai is preparing to leave the room, briefly looking back at the naked ladies sleeping soundly on the bed. After closing the door, he notices Alan approaching. Chen Bai wonders whether she is looking for Kyung's clothes and mentions that she has not woken up yet, but Alan explains that she is actually looking for him. Chen Bai questions what happened, and Alan reports that someone is causing trouble in the settlement at the foot of the mountain. Hearing this, Chen Bai wonders why something like that needs his attention when the Dongshan rules have already been posted. In his view, handling the situation according to those rules should be enough. Alan apologizes for bothering him and explains that they have already restrained the person, but the troublemakers claim to be Chen Bai's classmates. That changes things enough for Chen Bai to order Alan to take him there, and she immediately agrees. A few moments later, Alan leads Chen Bai down to the settlement at the foot of the mountain. As soon as the troublemakers spot him, one of them excitedly points out that Chen Bai has arrived. Alan explains that these are the people refusing to accept the daily fee of 1 copper coin. They want free security and stability without paying anything in return, which leaves Chen Bai considering the situation as he continues down the stairs. Li Chen then calls out to Chen Bai and introduces himself, though Chen Bai already knows who he is. Chen Bai explains that the rules are hardly unreasonable. Earning 1 copper coin only requires killing a single zombie, and even those who cannot fight can take jobs inside the settlement to make money, so there is no reason for them to cause trouble. Li Chen insists that the problem is not the amount of money, but Chen Bai's entire approach. With the end already upon them, people should be careful and help one another, and since Chen Bai possesses the resources, Li Chen believes he should use them to help everyone survive the crisis. As student council president, Li Chen advises him to cancel the rules, claiming that doing so would benefit everyone and earn their gratitude. Chen Bai only sighs, unwilling to waste more time on someone like Li Chen. He immediately draws everyone's attention and lays down the final warning. These are the rules of the settlement, and anyone unwilling to accept them can leave immediately. Anyone still there after 3 minutes will be shot without mercy. He then calls Alan and orders her to start counting, and she agrees. Li Chen immediately declares that there is no need to wait 3 or 5 minutes because he has no intention of leaving. In his view, he is only trying to save money for everyone, so everyone should support and thank him. One of the guards gets pissed and shuts down his nonsense, pointing out that 1 copper coin is hardly a burden for anyone there, while those who refuse to pay are either worthless or selfishly stingy, and they have no reason to protect people like that. Another guard joins in and calls Li Chen trash for being unable to kill even 1 zombie a day, while another mocks him by offering him 2 copper coins to become a guard dog at his house. A third guard orders Li Chen to get out, reminding him that they are the ones who built the camp and he has nothing to do with it. Li Chen grows agitated and pissed by everything he hears, then yells that he will leave if he has to because he has no interest in joining that cursed place. However, Chen Bai should remember this because he will regret kicking him out. Suddenly, Chen Bai stops Li Chen and orders him to wait. Li Chen immediately wonders whether Chen Bai already regrets it, but Chen Bai activates his skill, Bone Claws. He swings his claws straight at Li Chen, who sees the attack coming but cannot react in time. Li Chen is astonished as his blood spurts everywhere, and when he falls to the ground, everyone is terrified by what they just witnessed. Chen Bai coldly remarks that Li Chen is right about one thing. When someone holds a grudge against him and openly brags about it, they will definitely regret it. Alan then announces that only 1 minute remains and questions whether the others still intend to stay. One of them immediately kneels and declares that he is willing to follow the rules and accept the consequences for the trouble they caused the settlement, requesting just 1 chance. Chen Bai calls him an intelligent man and explains that after paying 5 copper coins for a month, everything will return to normal. The man quickly agrees and repeatedly thanks Chen Bai. The others immediately follow his example, declaring that they are also willing to comply and requesting one opportunity. Chen Bai leaves the rest to Alan, and she assures him that she understands and there is no need to worry. As Chen Bai walks back, a notification suddenly startles him. Meng Meng has sent him a message. Meng Meng explains that improving her abilities in reality is extremely difficult because even though her spiritual energy has increased, she still lacks offensive skills. Chen Bai advises her to remain patient and take things slowly, promising to help search for books that can enhance spiritual energy attacks. Meng Meng then questions which city he lives in and mentions that once she can go outside, she will make sure to visit him. When Chen Bai answers Jiangcheng, Meng Meng is delighted because they are very close, as she lives in Wuchang. Chen Bai offers to meet her if Meng Meng wants to join him, leaving Meng Meng excited as she confirms whether he is serious and calls it fantastic. Chen Bai then recalls that in his previous life, he received an S-grade professional mission related to Wuchang. Although it was not an SSS grade mission, it could still serve as capital for exchanging materials or information he needed. So he decides to head to Wuchang first. Meanwhile, inside a hotel in Jiangcheng City, a man looks out the window and questions how much food they have left. The man behind him reports that there is not much, and with 10 people, they can only last another 3 days. The man by the window is Jiang Luping, and he blames everything on the cursed special zombie. It killed 5 of their men effortlessly, and its senses are unbelievably sharp. As soon as they descend to the 10th floor, it notices them, making any attempt to escape through the back door impossible. The other man, Song Ji, concludes that they are trapped there. Suddenly, one of the ladies points ahead and urges everyone to look. She is pointing at Chen Bai, who is moving across the tops of the buildings at incredible speed. Jiang Lupeng questions what that thing is, admitting that he can barely make out anything beyond a faint illusion. He wonders whether it could be some new type of zombie, especially since it can jump along walls, making it extremely dangerous. He prepares to close the curtains, but the lady stops him and claims there is no need because she believes it is human. Songji cannot understand how that could be possible, while Jiang Luping questions whether she might have seen it wrong. The lady is Wei Shihu, while the other lady beside her is Zhang Yishui. Wei Shihu firmly denies being mistaken and reminds them not to forget her abilities before warning that it is heading directly toward them. When Chen Bai lands on a building near the special zombie, it immediately notices him and becomes alarmed. Chen Bai recognizes the special zombie as a tyrant and considers it incredible luck, an unexpected reward arriving at the perfect time. Coincidentally, he has a weapon plan that requires a tyrant's bone. As the tyrant roars at him, Chen Bai decides against using his heavy hammer because doing so could affect the drop rate and safety of the tyrant's bone. Instead, he activates bone claws and charges forward, deciding that decapitation is the better option. Back at the hotel, Songzi admits that he cannot see clearly and questions Wei Shihu about the current situation, but Zhang Yishui warns that it is better not to look because the battle is extremely dangerous. Wei Shihu announces that the fight has begun and reveals that the man's hand has transformed into claws. Jiang Luping immediately insists that this proves it is a monster because no regular human has claws. Wei Shihu keeps watching and soon announces that the monster is dead, while the other monster appears to be absorbing it. Then she suddenly tells everyone to wait because she can see its face. Back at the battle, Chen Bai has already defeated the tyrant with his bone claws, leaving it dead on the ground. The system notifies Chen Bai that he has killed a mutated zombie created by the plague virus, an elite model with enhanced offensive and defensive abilities, earning him 2,000 experience points. After devouring it, all black light virus abilities are enhanced, while he gains 800 virus points and another 500 special evolution points for the black light virus. Another system notification reveals that the blacklight virus has acquired a new form, muscle enhancement and shield, and Chen Bai immediately tests it. Chen Bai finds that muscle enhancement can strengthen any part of his body, unlike other forms that alter his body shape and cause discomfort. The shield's defensive strength is almost double his base strength, making the new reward extremely useful. Meanwhile, Wei Shihu finally recognizes Chen Bai and immediately opens the curtains while calling his name. Chen Bai is equally surprised and looks up, questioning who it is. When he spots the open curtain high in the building, he is left puzzled. A few moments later, Chen Bai hangs out the window, and when he spots Wei Shihu, He remarks that it is Songgae's friend and wonders who it could be. Wei Shihu immediately questions whether Chen Bai knows how Songgae is doing and whether she is all right. Not long after, Chen Bai and Wei Shihu's group gather together, and he explains that he has established a settlement in the Dongshan Villa area where a few hundred people are currently living. Song Zikyong is helping him manage the settlement, which means Songgae is completely safe. Wei Shihu presses him on whether it is really true. On the other hand, Zhang Yishui is left speechless and in disbelief, while Jiang Luping looks over and presses Chen Bai to confirm that he really established a settlement with hundreds of people. Song Ji is just as stunned, questioning whether Chen Bai is joking about the Queen of Jianchang, Song Zikyong, helping him manage it. Chen Bai simply explains that they will understand once they get there because he has no reason to lie about something so easy to uncover. Suddenly, the lobby door opens. Chen Bai's roommate enters and calls out to him, and Chen Bai immediately recognizes him as Qi Zheng. Lin Qi Zheng is accompanied by their other roommates, Li Feng and Zhao Mu. Lin Qi Zheng remarks that he knew he heard someone calling Chen Bai's name earlier, while Zhao Mu confirms that Chen Bai really is there. Chen Bai questions what all of them are doing there. Lin Qi Zheng explains that on the day everything happened, Zhang Luping brought a group of students to support Wei Shihu at the script-killing shop, where she worked part-time. Zhao Mu adds that they originally wanted to find out whether Chen Bai was available, but Li Feng figured he was probably busy. Chen Bai then checks whether many of their classmates from Jiang University are there and offers them another option. If they are willing, they can head to the settlement in the Dongshan Villa area. However, there is one rule. Each person has to hand over 1 copper coin, and when Chen Bai checks whether they can manage that, they immediately confirm that they can. Jiang Luping remarks that if the monster had not trapped them there, they might have even found gold coins by now. However, the road to the settlement is dangerous, so he wants Chen Bai to travel with them. Chen Bai explains that he has other matters to handle, but they do not need to worry too much because on his way from Dongshan, he only encountered that one tyrant. That immediately makes Jiang Luping understand that the creature is not some common monster, and he admits that if that is the case, they were seriously unlucky. Chen Bai then summons several skill cards. Calling Lin Qi Zhang, Zhao Mu, and Wei Shihu over, he places the skill cards along with several items on the table, explaining that they are all low-level things he no longer needs, so he is giving them away. Since he is in a hurry, Chen Bai also explains that he needs to hit the road. They already know where the settlement is, so he will leave first, and Jiang Luping thanks him. Chen Bai waves to them as he walks out of the room, while Zhao Mu reminds him to take care. A few moments later, Chen Bai is already traveling from one building to another. Suddenly, he stops when Meng Meng initiates a private chat. She explains that King Han has been complaining in the group, and she believes her new ability may be able to help him. Chen Bai responds that there are too many people in the group, so she should explain the situation to him directly. His attention then shifts to King Han and a person named Han Xiao. Meanwhile, Zhao Mu speaks with Zhang Luping and proposes that they head to the settlement. A settlement with more evolved individuals should also be safer, making it extremely important for them. Zhang Luping agrees, but points out that they need to prepare properly because traveling from Zhongcheng to Dongshan is almost a cross-city journey. Li Feng urges them to wait for a moment and starts to share his opinion, only to be interrupted. Everyone suddenly notices Chen Bai again, while Wei Shihu questions why he has come back. Chen Bai enters through the window, and when Wei Shihu checks whether something is wrong, he confirms that there is. He suddenly needs a room where he can handle something. Zhao Mu immediately offers the room he shares with Lin Qi Zhang. Chen Bai follows them and explains that he needs to be alone. Lin Qi Zhang reassures him that there is no problem since Chen Bai can use the bedroom while they remain in the living room and watch over things outside. Suddenly, Wei Shihu remembers something and calls after Chen Bai, urging him to wait for her. A few moments later, she catches up with them in the hotel corridor and explains that she just remembered something. She wants to add Songgi as a friend, so she checks whether Chen Bai knows her evolved identifier number. Chen Bai immediately gives her the number, 99025. Lin Qi Zhang then wants Chen Bai's number as well, so both he and Zhao Mu can add him. Chen Bai gives them 001. He looks at Lin Qi Zhang with a straight face, while Lin Qi Zhang stares back in disbelief. Lin Qizheng bursts out laughing and remarks that they are all evolvers now, yet Chen Bai's dry humor has apparently not evolved at all. However, Zhao Mu calls Lin Qizheng's attention to it, explaining that he will understand once he actually adds Chen Bai, leaving Lin Qizheng puzzled. The system immediately notifies Lin Qizheng that Evolver Dobo01 has accepted his friend request. Lin Qizheng erupts in disbelief, but Chen Bai calls him over and urges him to stop standing there and hurry up. 10 minutes later, the three of them are in the living room. Lin Qizheng admits that Chen Bai's ID number really is an unbelievably good one, while Zhao Mu explains that Chen Bai claimed the number represents the sequence in which someone became an evolver, meaning he was the very first. Zhao Mu then brings up something else, checking whether Lin Qizheng remembers what Chen Bai once posted in their dormitory group chat about whether the school had changed the physical fitness test to mid-June. Lin Qizheng remembers it clearly because they ended up exercising for more than a week because of that message. At that point, Lin Qizheng connects the possibility and questions whether Zhao Mu means Chen Bai may have already known about the end of days back then. Zhao Mu admits it could have been nothing more than a coincidence, but regardless, the exercise ended up benefiting them. Lin Qizheng confirms that they really did benefit from the information Chen Bai provided, and Zhao Mu agrees. Meanwhile, Wei Shihu is staring at her system screen with a flushed face, and when Lin Qizheng notices, he questions why her face is so red. She brushes it off as nothing, then heads out while reminding them that she is returning to her room and that they must not forget Chen Bai's instruction. No matter what they do, they cannot enter his room. After closing the door behind her, Wei Shihu remains by it for a moment, her face still red as her thoughts drift back to Chen Bai. She remembers her conversation with Songye. After introducing herself through a message, Songye questions how she knows her code, and she explains that Chen Bai gave it to her. Songye immediately remarks that she knew Chen Bai would get into trouble the moment he went out, leaving Wei Shihu confused. Songye then questions whether she is her best friend, and when Wei Shihu confirms that she is, Songye happily declares that this is perfect. From now on, whenever they are all together, she will no longer be the only one calling Chen Bai daddy. Wei Shihu is completely flustered by what she means, wondering whether it could really be what she is imagining and how something like that could even happen. Her mind fills with thoughts of Chen Bai, Songye, and everyone together. Suddenly, she overhears Li Feng warning Zhang Luping to listen, because the matter is not that simple. Li Feng insists that Chen Bai is definitely lying to them since there are far too many loopholes in his story, and Zhang Luping admits that he also finds it somewhat fake. Zhang Luping specifically questions Chen Bai's claim that Song Zikyong is helping him manage the settlement, pointing out that no matter how they look at it, it sounds like boasting. Wei Shihu remains silent as she listens. On the other hand, the system announces Dreamspace Magic City inside Han Xiao's home, where Chen Bai greets everyone and explains that he had to make some arrangements in the real world, which is why he arrived a little late. Looking around, Chen Bai remarks that it seems he is the only one left. Meng Meng is already waiting in the living room with two other guys. One of them is Han Xiao, also known as King Han. As he introduces himself, he excitedly remarks that he has finally met the Bai Emperor, adding that he always knew Chen Bai would be handsome, but the real person is somehow 3 times more handsome than he imagined. Meng Meng immediately points out that Han Xiao really knows how to flatter people, but Han Xiao insists that he is not flattering anyone and is only stating the truth. The other guy greets Chen Bai as their group leader and introduces himself as Crow. He explains that Meng Meng mentioned she could bring one more group friend, so he happened to come along to fill the final spot, and his talent is SS grade Fear Embodiment. After learning that Meng Meng possesses SSS grade Dreamwalker, while Crow has SS grade Fear Embodiment, Han Xiao becomes dejected and wonders whether that makes his S-grade mental control the weakest talent there. Chen Bai explains that although Han Xiao's talent is lacking by comparison, his luck is actually pretty good, because if he had encountered this situation the day before yesterday, Meng Meng would not have been able to help him. At that time, Meng Meng could only bring them into the dream world through her own position. The ability to bring everyone directly to Han Xiao's house by using his dream totem as the core is something she only learned the other day, and Meng Meng confirms it. Han Xiao laughs and remarks that he has always been pretty lucky. Chen Bai then gets straight to the point. Meng Meng cannot maintain all 4 of them inside the dream world for long, so Han Xiao needs to quickly explain why he was complaining in the group. Han Xiao reveals that the problem involves a dungeon tied to a mission exclusive to him. Since the location is not nearby, he plans to send Chen Bai a screenshot of the mission while they discuss it on the way. The mission is Family Mystery, an S-grade exclusive mission. According to the details, Han Xiao discovers a medical record from Red Star Psychiatric Hospital among his father's belongings, and the patient is an aunt he has never heard of. The record also mentions a family genetic disorder, which sparks his curiosity, while the Red Star Psychiatric Hospital appears to hold the key to uncovering the mystery. A short while later, they arrive at Red Star Psychiatric Hospital 16 and stop in front of a portal. Han Xiao explains that by the time he discovered the place, it had already turned into a dungeon. He entered once before but quickly gave up, because the nightmare difficulty monsters range from level 5 to level 12, which is simply too much for him to handle. He also cannot afford to level up first and return later, because after abandoning the dungeon the first time, the Cosmic Will warned him that someone had noticed his presence and might leave with everything. Chen Bai immediately reaches toward the portal and confirms that he understands. The system then prompts Chen Bai to lead the team into the Red Star Psychiatric Hospital dungeon, and Chen Bai accepts. Moments later, they enter the Red Star Psychiatric Hospital dungeon within Dreamspace Magic City. Crow immediately draws everyone's attention to a small monster ahead. While Meng Meng admits that she has a bad feeling about the place, Han Xiao warns them that even the monsters appearing at the very beginning of the dungeon are not weak, so they need to stay careful. The creature is a monster nurse, trembling as she walks forward with a strange posture. Crow has everyone hold back while he tests her strength himself, but the monster nurse suddenly rushes straight toward him at incredible speed. Crow activates his SS grade talent, Fear Embodiment, and the monster nurse instantly stops in her tracks. Overwhelmed by terror, she collapses onto the ground, her heart pounding violently as she remains unable to look away from the scarecrow. Crow pushes the fear even further before activating his skill, Lawful Explosion. The monster nurse trembles on the ground until her heart suddenly explodes, and the system announces that a team member has killed a crazed nurse, allowing the experience to be shared among the group. Meng Meng remarks that Crow looks far too much like some villain boss, while Han Xiao acknowledges that the ability is powerful, and Chen Bai simply approves of it. Their kill also drops the D-rank active skill, Sharp Screeching Thought Explosion. The skill launches a mental attack through a sharp screech, dealing mental damage within a certain range, while also drawing the attention of nearby monsters. Crow points out that they got lucky enough to receive a skill drop, since both Han Xiao and Meng Meng possess mental talents. Chen Bai leaves the decision between the two of them. Han Xiao declines because he only wants the items connected to his exclusive mission, and his own talent already includes a similar ability. Meng Meng accepts without holding back, takes the skill card, and thanks Crow. She immediately uses it, and the system confirms that she has learned Sharp Screeching Thought Explosion. Chen Bai then instructs Meng Meng to use the skill, but she warns that while its damage range is not very large, the sound travels much farther and could even lure monsters out of the wards. Chen Bai explains that this is exactly what they need, since searching every room one by one would be far too troublesome, and assures her that it will be fine. Meng Meng agrees and activates Sharp Screeching Thought Explosion. In an instant, a large number of monsters emerge and rush toward Chen Bai and his group. Seeing the result, Chen Bai remarks that the monster attracting effect works extremely well. Han Xiao remarks that there are far too many monsters in the dungeon, prompting Crow to warn everyone to stay careful and avoid getting distracted. Meanwhile, Meng Meng questions whether they will really be fine against so many enemies, but Chen Bai assures her there is nothing to worry about, because this is the perfect chance to test his newly upgraded skills. Han Xiao immediately summons multiple daggers, relieved to hear that confidence from their group leader, and declares that they should start killing. He throws the daggers forward and wipes out several monsters in one attack, while Crow activates Fear's source, Darkness, creating shadows that wrap around the monsters and begin strangling them. Suddenly, Meng Meng unleashes a massive explosion, leaving Crow and Han Xiao stunned when they notice her casually holding a rocket launcher. Meng Meng remarks that it feels amazing and decides to try it again, while Han Xiao comments on how abnormal her ability to create things in dreams is, wondering whether she might even build a Gundam someday, and Crow confidently agrees that she probably could. However, something soon catches Crow's attention. while restraining several monsters. He silently watches Chen Bai standing there and wonders why their group leader still has not made a move. At the same time, Chen Bai considers how the power has finally reached its limit, though the skill takes a little too long to charge, meaning fully powering it up during an actual fight will be difficult. Once he is ready, he slams his claws into the ground and activates full-charged earth spikes. Massive spikes erupt from below and impale the monsters across the area, leaving Han Xiao and the others stunned by the skill's range and intensity. Meng Meng marvels at how strong Chen Bai is, while Crow wonders whether that was really a single skill and whether he just killed all of them. Han Xiao can only remark that this is the White Emperor. As Chen Bai dusts off his hands, two monster nurses suddenly appear behind him. Han Xiao immediately panics, realizing two of them are still alive, and launches his sharp aura to finish them off. Before the attack can continue, Chen Bai catches Han Xiao's sharp aura with his bare hand and orders him to wait. He then restrains the monster nurses with his vine-like aura, explaining that those two are mini-boss nurses he deliberately left alive. Han Xiao is left stunned that Chen Bai caught his attack barehanded, while Crow lets out a sigh and taps Han Xiao on the shoulder to comfort him. At that moment, the system notifies Chen Bai that Black Light Devour has evolved. He can now view part of the memories belonging to a swallowed target, with a low probability of obtaining any skill the opponent had mastered. Chen Bai decides to read and absorb the target's memories, recalling that he has barely used the skill since obtaining it on the eve of Doomsday. Inside the memory, he sees the body of a woman covered in marks as she questions what is happening. The woman hangs from an upside-down cross and screams in confusion, while countless other upside-down crosses nearby hold more women. A nurse crawls sinisterly across the ground, causing one of them to scream and beg her not to come closer. Another person nearby addresses her as Nurse Kang and orders her to calm down, questioning how she can be so mentally weak when he intends to offer her to his master. Since the crazy woman is no longer suitable for that purpose, he laments that she can only be used as a sacrifice next month. Elsewhere in the hospital, two nurses discuss what happened. One tries to comfort Nurse Wang, reminding her not to feel too bad when people reject her because of Nurse Kang's incident, while Nurse Wang admits that she understands because she also liked Nurse Kang. Remembering Nurse Kang repeatedly muttering 16 while restrained on a bed, Nurse Wang recalls how kind she used to be and wonders how she suddenly went insane. Back in the present, Chen Bai focuses on the number 16 and the demonic formation from the memory, which brings something from his past life back to mind. When he was a demon hunter in his previous life, he once heard about a dungeon inside a mental hospital that was connected to demons and could even summon them. However, his level had already exceeded the dungeon limit by then, so he only skimmed through posts about it on the evolutionary forum and never paid much attention afterward. Chen Bai decides that they should continue searching for clues related to Han Xiao's exclusive mission, but warns everyone to remain careful and stay together, because there are probably extremely powerful monsters inside. Half an hour later, the group continues up the stairs. Han Xiao wonders whether every monster in the building has already been lured outside since they have gone so long without encountering even one, despite searching through 3 floors. Meng Meng points out that they have still found clues, while Crow notes that the number 16 appears unusually often throughout the place. As they continue forward, Crow admits that more than anything, he wants to know why the dungeon boss still has not made a move, joking that perhaps he is too frightened by Chen Bai to show himself. An ominous aura suddenly spreads through the hallway, followed by a voice condemning the young man for being too arrogant. Everyone immediately prepares for battle, while Han Xiao demands that whoever is hiding reveal himself. Huge claws then step out from the darkness, followed by an enormous monster. He introduces himself as the director of the Red Star Psychiatric Hospital, as well as the Messenger of Solomon, the 16th of the 72 Pillars, the God of Demons, and the Insomniac. Han Xiao becomes nervous at the mention of a demon, while Crow is shocked to learn that the director is a demon god's messenger. The director declares that pretending to remain calm is useless because their only fate is to be sacrificed for his master. However, he offers them one exception, claiming that if Meng Meng faithfully serves the master and bears his offspring, he can spare them from death. Meng Meng immediately rejects the idea with disgust, remarking that it is a nice try and that the director should go bear a child for his master himself. Chen Bai counters that for a lowly demon transformed from a human, the director is far too arrogant. Activating his bone claws, he challenges him to prove how capable he really is to his grandpa, instead of continuing to talk nonsense.